Hi there, it's me, Grace, and today I want to show you how I go about fixing a hole in a crocheted blanket. This blanket is pretty old. I would say this was probably made in the 70s. I'm not sure, but that's what I would guess, probably around the 70s. And it had been put away in a cedar chest for quite a while, and then it was given to me when I started having babies, so that I could use it for them. So it's been washed many times. I couldn't say how many, but it's a bunch. And so right now it's in pretty bad disrepair. So it really needs help. I already closed up one hole, but I want to show you how I went about doing it. First thing I did, of course, was try to match up the yarn as well as I could, and of course it's not going to match exactly, but in the end you'll see that it doesn't really matter all that much. It won't be quite as noticeable as what you would think. So what I'm using is Bernat Softy Baby in, this is the baby green, I think it's called Mint. I really can't remember, and I don't have the label right now, but it's like a mint green. Any baby green will probably work. So I've just strung it onto a tapestry needle with a very wide eye, and it's just one thickness of yarn. So I'm not going to use a crochet hook or anything like that. What I'm going to do is take this, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. Well, if my camera would focus, you could see it. There we go. So there, of course, in crochet you have the loops here. So just go into the loop with your needle and yarn. Just go through the first loop, and when you pull it through, go ahead and just only go through one. Leave a generous tail. I'm leaving, goodness, probably 4 or 5 inches. Excuse me. So you're going to go into the next one and just gently pull that yarn through, and then into the next. Now it really depends, I don't know, every design would be a little bit different. This was a shell stitch Afghan, and some would probably be a little bit easier to fix than this. Like if it's like for example, if it was a single crochet stitch, it might be a little easier just to go in and fix it, but I don't know, they might all be the same. This is the only one I've ever had to fix, so I can't really say. But you're just going to continue to go around the hole in through there, and don't worry that there is a strand of yarn going through. You completely ignore that. You're just joining all the loops. Okay, now right here I've got a loop here and then just a strand of yarn here. So what I'm seeing on the design is that there is a single strand here, and then all the shells are joined, so it kind of goes up in there like that. So I'm just going to skip over that and go into the next one that's actually a stitch. And then continue to go around through these loops. Try not to skip any. I know they're kind of hard to see sometimes, but try to get them all if you can. It'll be better in the long run than one sticking out, because of course obviously you could make a new hole if you leave one out, and then you'll have to do it again, which is not going to be too fun. Okay, so I'm nearly around. I have one more stitch to go through. One more little loop here. Okay, now when I get to the end, of course these are all kind of in a rounded pattern, so it's not going to make any difference really to the eye. I mean, obviously somebody who does this all the time would notice, but the lay person would never notice that you had patched this up. So what I'm going to do is do a simple overhand knot right here to fasten it off. I haven't taken my needle off or anything. I'm just taking the tail that I left in the beginning and the tail that I ended with, and I'm just making a little knot. And I know you're not supposed to knot necessarily in crochet, but in this case you're repairing a hole, so I really don't see any way around it. So then, of course, just like you would when you finish off any crochet project, you're going to weave in the ends. So let's go ahead and do that. We're just going to go back through those same holes, same loops, I mean, not holes, loops. Go one way about an inch or so, or you could go all the way around your little design, but you don't necessarily have to. What I like to do is go around from the opposite way and take that next stitch, that next loop, and pull it back toward me, and then go back the opposite way. That kind of ties it down. Okay, and then when I get out to the end where I started, I'm going to just trim that off, because we already made a knot. We really don't need to secure it much better than that. I just like to do it because old habits die hard. So with the other tail, we're just going to thread that yarn needle, whichever kind you're using. Mine happens to be a steel tapestry needle. Somehow I ended up with a little loop right here. I don't know how that happened, so I'm going to go through that loop to start out with. That was my yarn that I was fixing the project with. So I just went through that and then cinched it up. That took care of it. I don't know how I got the loops. And then I'm going to go around through these stitches one way, and remember, I always like to go through this little end stitch. Let me see if I can. My camera's not very good at focusing. Somehow it doesn't want to focus when I get so close. Let me. I like to go back through the opposite way, just like that. Kind of tie it down a little bit, and then go back through the stitches, just like that, and out again. Okay, and once you've done that, you just clip the tail off. And voila. And like I said, people who have crocheted a long time might be able to spot this, just because their eyes are used to noticing patterns and textures. But honestly, anybody that's not used to crochet is not going to go, oh, what is that little bump right there? They're just not going to, and you could even kind of play with that, pull it apart, pull the design apart a little bit to try to cover up that little knot that we made. But honestly, it looks good enough for me. And now it's fixed, and we can use it again. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this tutorial. I hope that you liked it. I hope that you'll be back for more. So don't forget that you can like and subscribe. Don't forget to visit me at theblueberrybee.com, where you can see a whole lot more. Thanks again, and have a great day. Bye.